If you're a fan of Grand Theft Auto, then you likely have a vague familiarity with the character of Yusuf Amir. He was most recently featured in a Grand Theft Auto Online update, specifically the Chop Shop update released late last year. But I don't know anyone who is still keeping up with that, let alone purchasing the pricey updates to that game in calendar year 2024. So I will be discussing this character as he appears in Grand Theft Auto 4, specifically the Ballad of Gay Tony, where he serves as the tritagonist of that game, similar to Little Jacob of the base game. So Yusuf Amir, he hails from a colossally wealthy family from the Emirates, and he moves from there to Liberty City to develop properties. As a matter of fact, the lion's share of safe houses that Nico acquires throughout the base game are developed by Yusuf Amir. However, Yousef uses a large chunk of his money on degenerate shit like drugs and hookers and solid gold guns, much to the cardinal dismay of his father, who is pretty conservative on how he should be spending his money out here.
I knew how disgraceful you were, but I didn't realize quite how shameful you were.
Oh, Papa, things are not how they look.
Things do not look good, son.
Don't judge a book by its cover, Father. That's what you taught me.
When a book is called guns, drugs, hookers, and no pants, I think I don't need to read it.
Especially since it is revealed that most of his money does belong to his father in the first place. Point blank, a lot of his possessions really just belong to his father there. So the reason he is on our screens in the first place is because he is trying to finance the club that Gay Tony, who is the titular character, owns. In the process, he hires Luis, who is the protagonist of the game, as a mercenary to help with his own endeavors. These include blowing up yachts with a stolen helicopter and delivering it to an associate, getting him into shootouts on the Empire State Building, stealing a tank and shooting the cops until they concede pursuing you, and stealing subway cars. Luis does all of this with little to no hesitation because he is a super criminal at large, essentially. But the lion's share of missions that you do for Yusuf Amir in this game are, in my opinion, the most fun missions in not only the Ballad of Gay Tony, but in Grand Theft Auto 4, the Empire State Building in particular, when you're shooting at the Noose helicopters. It's really fun. And the helicopter mission with the tanks, it's kind of a headache because helicopter physics aren't the greatest in Grand Theft Auto 4. It wasn't really a game refined around that engine there. And I think in the base game you don't do that until the last mission, but nonetheless it's still fun. And especially the one where you're riding around on the top of the subway car, laying down military style, trying to make it unloose, or not make it unloose, but trying to dismantle it from the other subways. That is a really fun mission. So a lot of the missions that you're given from this guy are all really fun. Now, here's what separates Yousef from every other supporting character in a franchise like Grand Theft Auto, is he actually supports the protagonist. Yusuf Amir really admires Luis as a person and is always trying to impress him on every corner. Near the end of the game, Yousef provides Luis with his signature gold SMG, which might be one of my favorite weapons next to probably the chainsaw in Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And he also gifts him his solid gold Rolls Royce that he has Luis drive around throughout the bulk of the missions for him. In the final mission of the game, in the 11th hour, Luis has to kill the main antagonist on a plane before it takes off, after he issues a bunch of henchmen to kill him and Tony. After Yousef offers to help, Luis shuts him down because he's a badass and tries to solo this, but Yousef helps anyway, shooting at the henchman from his solid gold helicopter and offering any assistance possible to ensure that Luis can do the mission with ease. Now, back to my claim that Yusuf Amir is the best side character in the Grand Theft Auto franchise. I think when it comes to saying something like that, you have to think of who the best side characters really are, and I personally think it would boil down to maybe him or Lamar, especially given the pop culture impact that Lamar has, and the fact that his game is a lot bigger, so Lamar is definitely a lot more iconic than Yusuf Amir, just because, you know, he has a lot more screen time, because the game is a lot bigger than just GTA for the Ballad of Gay Tony. But compared to a character like Lamar, Yousef goes out of his way to support Luis, whereas a character like Lamar is more of a detriment to Franklin's life, constantly needing bailed out and trying to make him feel bad for not wanting to be in the gang life. Yousef, in my opinion, is just as funny, albeit, a little less iconic. So I'd like to talk about Grand Theft Auto 4 The Lost in the Dam just briefly here. It is the DLC that released adjacent to the Ballad of Gay Tony. However, it has plummeted into obscurity and now resides in the depths of Dejanol. Now, if you think it deserves that fate, or if you think it doesn't, that is up to you. I made a video about that, as a matter of fact, the Lost in the Dam DLC, but I think Yusuf Amir single-handedly saved Grand Theft Auto for the Ballad of Gay Tony from receiving that fate, quite frankly. I think without him, the game would be a lot more forgettable in terms of substance. Grand Theft Auto 4, the Ballad of Gay Tony, aesthetic-wise, is a lot more vibrant and bright compared to the Lost in the Dam, and even the base game of Grand Theft Auto 4, that was a main criticism from most users at the time, was its aesthetic. But Grand Theft Auto 4 The Ballad of Gay Tony, it completely revitalized it, and I think Yusuf Amir is a big part of that. He embodies what Liberty City is, what Liberty City wealth, what it's like to be in the high life of Liberty City as opposed to in the subway, which is why I think that even though Grand Theft Auto 4 The Ballad of Gay Tony, it's not the most popular or remembered piece of Grand Theft Auto media, it still has a relatively good impression on people's minds, even if they haven't played it since they were a kid. They played some of the missions, especially the ones for Yusuf Amir, which were a lot bigger and more explosive, and they remember it being a very fun experience. And I think Yusuf Amir, he single-handedly saved this game from suffering the same fate. So that's another reason why I think he is probably the greatest side character. I don't think any other side character would be able to say the same thing as Yusuf Amir in that regard. So if you agree with what I had to say with my assessment of Yusuf Amir, or if you disagree, feel free to comment down below. I'd be more than happy to continue this dialogue about him or about anything else Grand Theft Auto related. Comment down below if you'd like to see me talk about another character maybe, or I don't know, maybe another game altogether. So that should just about do it. Everyone else, have a great rest of your day.